Today we're going to go ahead and build the Falcon-1. We're going to go ahead and have our wood glue with us, some paper towels, and I've already gone ahead and separated all the piles in like-type pieces. You know, you're not going to know what they are, so I tried to follow the same thing as, you know, guessing, okay, these go together and stuff. So if you don't know what the piece is, then you can always set it over in this pile over here, and if it's not trash and it's left over when it's done, throw it out. If you need it, you didn't throw it out. So let's get started. We're going to go ahead and follow directions one step at a time. For me, it's going to be a little difficult that way because I designed these and so I want to jump ahead. So if it seems a little awkward today, it's purely because I'm having to follow directions. Anyway, here we go. Let's get the glue ready. Get a paper towel off just in case we get too much glue on something. All right, we're going to start with the base. We need this piece. We need these four little pieces here. So let's move this to the side, slide some of this over. All right? All these pieces have numbers on them. Two of them have numbers on the bottom. Two have numbers on the top. We have four numbers on here. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's counterclockwise, just the way it was. So we'll take number 1, put a little bit of glue down here on the bottom, and we'll stick that in that slot. We'll take number 3, which is the next step here. You want to do 1 and 3 first, because that locks the bottom in for you. Now with that done, you want to go ahead and glue 2 and 4 to the sides. The easiest thing to do is to put a little bit of glue on the sides here. It does not take a lot of glue. And this is number 4. So you take number 4. The tab will be to the top. So we'll set it in place here. Kind of spread these out a little bit. We'll wiggle it around some. And pops right in. Now let's go ahead and do number 2. Same thing. Just a little bit of glue. Does not take a lot. Take this one. Set it there. Push it in. Kind of push all 4 corners together and push it down for a second. It's pretty much done, held in place. The next step is going to be the inner plate, this round plate right here. Does not have numbers on it, doesn't need it. We have 2 tabs, that's it. That's done. So a little bit of glue on this first tab side, a little bit of glue on that other tab side. At this point in time, just set it on there. It is going to be a little snug. It's going to be at an angle, so it's kind of odd, but that's okay. The next step is going to be to glue this little round piece on. Again, a little bit of glue. Doesn't need a lot. Put it on there. Now you can leave it like that and walk away, but there's a trick. If you just hold your fingers on the side to kind of line it up, and you turn this a little bit, you'll start to feel it get snug. It's almost dry. Set it to the side. Now, let's start building the little pieces in step 2. It says glue two pieces together as shown. Now, there's going to be this set, and the next step are these. So we got 2 pieces, and we're only going to do this one time, so it's this set we're talking about. A little bit of glue, put it on there. Again, if you wiggle it a little bit, then line it up, pretty much dry. Set it to the side. The next one, we're going to do this twice. This one here, this one here. They just get centered. So, a little bit of glue, put it on there. You're going to want to line up these little lines this way, so when it's done, it's all nice and cute and pretty and real cool. So let's get this other one done. And line those up a little bit. Finished. Okay, now we get to go on to the fun part. Base is done, little pieces are done. Let's build the model. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take the main plate, this one here, and we're going to take the bottom. So, if you look at the directions, you're going to notice directions show no patterns. Flip it over. Okay? The other piece shows the patterns. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and take a little bit of glue. And you're going to want to stay inside this area. I put a little bit too much on there. So wipe that bit off, because it stays into this area. Or if you want, just glue onto here. It doesn't really matter. This piece now sits onto here. kind of stand it up, squeeze it together, get everything lined up the best you can. Once that's done, that piece is now glued together. So directions have us working on this side. Now there will be a little overhang here. That's good. It's supposed to be there. So now we're on the back side. So we want to get the other pieces that are involved in that. So we're going to use this piece next. This time we want to put the glue on this piece. Glue there. Little dots here. Kind of line it up. Again, wiggle it around a little bit. Get that glue to move around. Once that's done, make sure your lines are lined up. It just adds a little better look to it and makes it better for a better model. So, this piece here. Just sits right there in the middle. These edges here have to line up flush. You'll see later in the following steps, that's that little front capsule area. So on this one, little gap in the front here, space on the side. Main thing is centered up here. Okay, that's that step. Step 7. And a little piece we call out to note the pattern. This pattern here, you don't want this side up, you want this side up. So again, a little bit of glue. And you're just going to center it in there, kind of line everything up, wiggle it around a little bit. That's done. We have now done through step 7, 8. It says let dry completely. So, I'm going to go ahead and shut the videos off, come back in about 5 minutes when it's dry, and then we'll move forward from there. Okay, now that everything's dry, we can go ahead and move to the next step. We're going to move to step 10. Step 10 is going to be gluing the top side onto here. In this case, again, put the glue on the bottom side. Look where the patterns are. You want that up. Flip it over. Put the glue here. Here you don't want to put a ton of glue because you don't want it to ooze all over the place. Again, stay next to the ring here. You don't need the glue out there. Okay, let's set this on here now. Again, the critical stuff, get these sides lined up, get this front lined up. If you want to, push it down again like this, line it up. Now it looks really good. Step 11, we have 2 center pieces. Those center pieces are going to be used to go ahead and align these outer pieces. So the center pieces have 2 round rings around them, like this. Okay? So there's 2 ways of doing this. I personally like doing it this way. I'll go ahead and glue this one to this one. Remember that turning thing that we did earlier? Kind of wiggle it around. Starts to get a little tighter. I put a little more glue than needed on this one, but that's all right. Again, center it on here. Now, this step is kind of critical because if you don't do this right, the next step won't line up right. So what we do in step 12 is we tell you to take 4 of the little plates here, put 1, and these you're not going to line up on the sides. You're just going to kind of put them in the middle of 4 places. Best thing to do is do 1, 3, 6, 9, and 12 o'clock, just like on a clock. Then look down and you look and you see that circle? Align that a little bit while it's still wet. Once that's done, take these off, set them to the side, let it dry. I'll see you in about 5 minutes. Alright, welcome back again. I don't think we go and do this any more times. I think I'll be here for the rest of the model and we'll go ahead and have a great time, get this finished. Probably take maybe another 10-15 minutes. That's it. It might take a little longer because you'll go a little slower than I will. But let's go to step 13. Step 13 is, again, a little, it's critical. What you want to do is, it talks about placing glue around the outside edge here and the bead in the middle. The reason for that is, if you remember, this piece sat here and sat there. So the only place it touches is around the edge and up here. The reason for more glue than you would normally need is you want it to stay wet, so if you have to adjust it a little bit. So what I do is I'll just take this and I literally will just put a nice heavy bead of glue all the way around there. And then here it's a little harder. They got nothing to rub against the tip of this thing. And it doesn't matter if it gets on the inside because you're going to see what happens after this step to the inside piece. So now that we have this, grab all of these pieces. Now you're going to want to make sure you have them all face up. You can do this ahead of time. Doesn't really matter. The key to this is don't start over here because there's no marks. Start off to the side to the first full set of marks and line it up. And then just start going around. You're just going to lightly press down. Once it's in place, you're going to kind of push it towards the outside edge. You're going to notice that some of the alignment will get off a little bit. That's all right. When the laser cuts stuff, it makes it a little thinner. So sometimes you've got a little bit of a gap. So what I do, if that gap starts happening, I'll just go ahead and shift it over just a tad, put a little gap there. I mean, it's not critical. When you're done, this is a cool looking model. Who cares if there's a slight little gap somewhere? I got a couple more of these to do. Okay, there goes the last one. All right. Now what you want to do is just kind of line it up a little bit. If you got a gap, if you got big gaps over here, put them over here because this area from here to here is going to get covered up. So you can always push those down that way or that way a little bit. So now that that's done, we've done step 13. Let's go to step 14. The reason why it didn't matter if you put too much glue in here, because there's a disc that's going to go in there. So we're going to put glue on this anyways. I'll set it in the middle, and that's it. You don't see it. You'll never see it when you're done. So it doesn't matter if it looks kind of glue going out a little bit and stuff. You just don't want the glue above the pieces. If it is, take your paper towel and just lightly wipe it off, and you'll be fine. Now, we're going to go ahead and go to step 13. Step 13 is this disc right here. This is a little larger disc. And what this is going to do is give us height for our last disc. So again, just put some glue there. Center it the best you can. You're never going to know it's not perfectly centered. Because of everything else we do, it doesn't really matter. Everything works off of everything. So we're fine there. So that's in place. Now we're going to go to step 16. Step 16 are these little guys. Let's move that out of the way. I'm going to move this up a little bit. Let it dry while we're working on this. You have two options. These here, you kind of want them to line up looking like this, as straight as possible. So the best thing to do is, normally, like I said, the other stuff, I'd put the two together and kind of twist it a little bit and dry it. Not this one. What we want to do here, we're going to put a little bit of glue on the two sides of that knob and a little bit of glue on it. This is going to glue right onto there, just like that. And then, we're going to take a little bit of glue on here. And looking at that piece, we're going to set it on there. Wiggle it around a little bit. Line it up. Now if you want, once this step's done, you could let it dry a little bit. I normally don't, but I'm going to for this example for you guys. So we can not bump it and twist it a little bit. So let's get this one, then we'll just let it dry for just 30 seconds or so. We'll kind of get it twisted to the right shape, set it down. And while that's just kind of snugging up a little bit, because we're not going to put it on its side and stuff, we just don't want to bump it and have them fall off. So let's get ready for the next step. Step 17, if you recall, back here in step 2 and 3, we glued these little guys together. That's what we're using. Step 17 is going to call for the two of these. And what those are going to be, these pieces are the ones that go here and here. And there is no right or wrong way to do it. I personally think it looks better when they're pushed all the way up to the edge here, so that's what I'm going to do. And that's kind of what we tell you in the instructions to do. You're going to put a little bit of glue on there, kind of slide it down. It is going to set at a little bit of an angle, so it's going to kind of not hit right here in this middle spot. So again, on this type of thing, you want to put a little bit more glue towards each of the ends if you want to. You don't really need to even put it in the middle. I still do. Put it down there and just get it lined up, and there it is. Now, we're going to go ahead and go to step, we're back on 17 still. Got to glue the front half of the little tower in place. It's got little dashes. That's got to go up. So I want to glue on the bottom side. Anytime you see dashes and stuff, 99% of the time I'm going to have that facing upward because it's going to either give you something to align to or it's a decoration. So that's in, kind of lines up on the front here, a little bit on the curve there. So that's there. Let's go ahead and go to 18. 18 tells you to glue the back half onto here. And we just kind of do that in 2 steps just for this has a little bit of time to set up. So when you put this on, you're not fighting with lining everything up. So there's that one. Now we've got this big piece. Okay, this big piece, there's a little bit of a, it's not technical, it just make it look better. Remember this overhang over here that we've got from the back side? Well, this front piece, this is like, you don't want it to hang out like that. You kind of want this edge to be even. So, if you push it all the way back up to here, almost 100% of the time it's going to be 100% even. You know, because we do have this, if it's off a little bit, it's not a big critical thing. It's just going to be off just a hair. Again, this is only going to rest down here and here. So you want to put a decent amount of glue, a little bit of glue, and a decent amount of glue there. And if you want, you can always just put the glue down inside there. I just put it on the piece. It's just easier when it's on the piece. You know, sometimes you'll have a little bit of glue on the bottom, which I do. If you got a Q-tip, you can wipe it off. I don't worry about it. You don't see it. So there's that step. Let's get to 19. 19 is going to be the, remember the little dashes on here that we had facing up? Well, that's because these little pieces go there. So we're going to take the front half. Again, this has a pattern on the other side of it. We want the pattern up because the pattern makes things look cool. Again, wiggle it around a little bit. In place. Now this one here, make sure you have the pattern, it's kind of like a U, so you want the open end towards the center piece down here, because it continues the pattern. Okay, so there's those. So that gets us done with 18, gets us done with 19. Now we're going to go to 20. Okay, 20. Remember when I said it didn't matter about the gaps back here? This is why. Step 20. What these are going to do, they're going to basically lay in place right here. Okay? So that's where they're going. The idea is to kind of line up the edges out here and just make it look really clean and put together. Gap up here does not matter. This piece here ends up covering it. So let's go ahead, turn these over. We're going to go ahead and put a big of glue like we did inside, but we're going to do it for just these 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then down here, a nice heavy bead. If it oozes out, that's all right. You need to glue it together. So, what I'll do is I'll lay it on there and just let it set. I won't push it down yet because I'd rather move everything around to make it look really good before I push it down. That way I'm not messing glue up everywhere. Because I guarantee you will have a little bit of glue. So, I've lined up the back, I've lined up the sides, so now just kind of push down a little bit. You can hold it in the middle and just, you don't have to push hard, you just want to push down a little bit. I got a little bit of glue oohing out of the top right here. It's not important. Got a little bit of glue on the side, okay? That, wipe it off, make sure everything stayed aligned, not a big deal. All right, so that's step 20. Step 21, now let's turn this back the way the directions show it facing us. This piece here goes towards the front. So what I want to do is put glue onto here, put this piece on. I'm going to turn it sideways just because it's easier for me to move things around. See how I'm moving it around? It's getting a little snug. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up here and this one up the middle and look at it and go, okay, that's good. There's going to be gaps on these. That's fine. It's supposed to be. This piece goes over, covers that. These cover the back there. That's perfect. Okay. Now we're going to go to step 22. Step 22 is just a simple stacking pieces onto a slotted piece with a cap. So the biggest problem is using way too much glue. So on this one, you're just going to put a little bit of glue there on the first piece. The first piece is going to go on. That's a solid piece. Pay attention to the slot down here. It's not in the middle. It does not go on the top. It goes on the bottom. Okay? If you put this on wrong, the whole rest of the front piece is backwards. So it goes on just like that. Okay? Now, you have 4 more pieces. They all change size. That's the order they go in. So, a little bit of glue on the bottom, a little bit of glue on the top, slide that in. Again, a little bit of glue, not a whole lot. It will ooze out a little bit, that's alright. The beauty about wood glue is it does dry clear, so even if you have a little bit, it's not going to show. Now when you put this piece on, the piece that went down before, you're going to notice it kind of didn't fit on that little tab all the way. The reason why is because the wood comes different thicknesses, so we have to design it for the thinnest amount of wood. So when we get thicker wood, it stands out, but everything still stacks on. There's just a little bit of the post here, but that's all right. It's got the post. That's all it needs. Now, we're on to the last little piece of this model. That's got to be this little piece. You got an option. You've got, when the laser cuts stuff, you can get a burn mark on the backside to make it look a little rough and stuff. Well, this one has just a little bit of it on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on backwards. Okay? To make it look a little more rustic. You know, a little bit of glue on there. You want to set it on there, and then what you want to do is just look at the front. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to line up these pieces so it looks perfect. All right, look, we glued this together. This is, it hasn't taken more than 20 minutes, 30 minutes at best. There it is on the stand. The beauty of this is the fact that with this type of stand, some people like this look, other people like that look. You might want it up like that. You can put this at any angle you want. Well, that happens to be my favorite angle right there. My wife liked it the other way, but hey, that's why I got 2 options. Happy wife, happy life. Guys, thanks for being here, gals. I really enjoyed doing this with you. We're going to try to make more of these videos every week. We're going to try to put more out there. But anyway, for today, thanks a lot. Again, that's the Falcon-1. You can get that at LazerModels.com.